everybody, it is Steve, your friendly neighborhood lawn gnome. Welcome back to another video over here on That's Comical, and if you're watching and it happens to be a Wednesday, happy new comic book day. So I know it's a little bit of a rarity when I come to you guys talking about things like manga and anime. I know that there are some better, well-versed experts here on the channel that can definitely talk about that stuff to no avail, and I would love to see some of their content showing up here very, very soon. I know they all have big plans in the works. But today was a very interesting day because I didn't know about this specific show when it came out on Netflix in 2023, but it seemed to be vastly popular, and it was a similar discovery as I had with the 2021 anime Super Crooks based on the Mark Millar comic book. Of course, I'll have a link for that video down below. But today we're going to be talking about Blue Eye Samurai. This was an 8-episode season, and it was a very interesting story, whether you appreciate the stories of the samurai or even if you are a history buff. This is a story that took place back in the 1500s, 1600s, when Japan had officially closed itself off to the world and became an isolationist country, and yet there were still white explorers that wanted to go into Japan and continue to do their trade, particularly the Dutch. And without getting into parts of history that I completely screw up, because if my wife was sitting here, she would be shaking her head saying, do not do that, you have no idea what you're talking about, so I'm just going to stop there. But long and the short of it, this is a American-made anime series, and it had gotten rave reviews, and once I had heard about it and heard what the story was about, I definitely wanted to check it out, and I'm so glad that I did because this show was simply breathtaking. I really appreciated the story of this young woman who decided to follow the path of the samurai for the purposes of revenge because of the fact that she knew that she was a woman that was half white and half Japanese, and she knew of the men that, in fact, did have their way with her late mother, and because of the fact that she was a mixed-race child, she had something that Japanese people did not have at the time and were frowning upon it, and that, of course, was the fact that she had blue eyes. She was looked at in Japan as a freak, as something lower than human, and because of that hatred and sorrow that she felt because of the loss of her mother, she discovered a blind swords master who allowed her to take the path of the samurai, but then she decides that it's time to seek revenge on the 4 white men that ruined her life. This is definitely a very deep character-building, atmospheric story. The storytelling is a very good one, pace-wise. I was very impressed with the voice acting in this show. We have everything from the greats like George Takei, Ming-Na Wen, as well as Kenneth Branagh, who plays the white man or the villain of this show. But I think the one actor who lended his voice to this show is someone who we haven't heard from in such a long time. He was a joy when he was in the late NBC television show from the early 2000s, Heroes, and that, of course, was Masi Oka, who plays the character of Gringo, who is such a positive, high-spirited, comedic-bound character. He was the light-hearted lifeblood of this show, and I was so glad to see Masi Oka having another role because I truly missed him. I loved him as Hero in Heroes. He was such a great, lovable character, and I loved how he was such a geek for comic books and anime and manga, and just to see him lending his voice to this really lovable character just brought so much joy to my heart. But I think the thing that really stands out in this show is also the animation. It is such a unique style blended of CGI and hand-drawn animation. There's also a very unique soundtrack here. I think the thing that made me laugh so much was in the first episode when the hero is trying to start training herself in the world of swords, and all of a sudden you hear that iconic song that was featured in the Kill Bill Volume 1 trailer, and you're saying to yourself, does this really belong here? And then you just let it play and you say, yeah, how does it not belong in this moment? It was so great, and there was just a little bit of everything that animation fans and anime and manga fans can truly enjoy, and from what I've heard, there is going to be a second season on the horizon, as well as there should be, because of the cliffhanger that this story ended on, and I'm just very excited to see where the journeys of the Blue Eye Samurai are going to go in the next season, and hopefully future seasons, until the story is officially wrapped up. So guys, I'm really apologizing over the fact that I was a year off to this show. I wish I would have discovered it back in 2023 when it came out, but it was a wonderful show. I loved it. I'd love to watch it again. If Netflix ever decided to put their media onto physical copies, I would totally buy a copy of this. Netflix, are you listening? I will buy physical copies of a lot of your programming. It's a shame that you don't put it on physical media, because I'm still waiting for the rest of Stranger Things, and I would also love a copy of The Trial of the Chicago 7, please. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Leave your comments in the box below. Let me know if you've seen Blue Eye Samurai, and let's talk a little bit about it. And I will see you in the next one.